Before I get started with this video, I'd like to make a short disclaimer just so there's no confusion. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't even know how you argue that he's not anymore. Doesn't matter that he didn't win the Super Bowl. He didn't give up 41 points to the Eagles, and he threw for 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he's 40. If he caught that ball and held on to the other one, it's probably the greatest Super Bowl performance of all time. And he's 40. Greatest of all time. Let me make sure I make that clear right now. I also don't think that I know Tom Brady's throwing mechanics more than he does. And I'm not even going to argue that Tom House and 3DQB aren't the leaders in quarterback development right now. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're the best, but I'm not going to argue that they're not because they just got too many NFL guys right now that come to them every year. They're obviously doing something right. So my intention though is to help youth, high school, college quarterbacks, keep them from going down a road they probably don't want to go to because they saw something that Tom Brady did and they want to mimic what the greatest quarterback of all time does. Now that I got that out of the way, let's start the video. Okay, if you're a Tom Brady fan, like me, I'm not a diehard fan, but I like the guy. You probably saw the Tom versus Time documentary, reality show, whatever, on Facebook. And it's great. It's the GOAT of streamed reality shows on Facebook. It's awesome. I love it. But first couple episodes, you probably saw Tom throwing and working on keeping his front arm extremely in front of his body as he finishes. His elbow is almost underneath his chin. And I don't know, Tom, I can't text him and ask him the reason for that. I can make an educated guess. Episode 2, you saw him talking about Tom House. It looks like they're pretty much talking about him working on getting a little bit more dissociation, which is basically the lower body rotating, firing, while the upper body kind of restricts that rotation just for a split second, so that he builds up some torque for power, and it also lets his arm get ahead of the body and ahead of the turn instead of getting behind the turn, which makes the wrist orbit around the elbow / cross bad stuff. So I get it. He's basically just overdoing it, overdoing the feeling, which is fine. I get my guys to overdo stuff all the time. Usually instead of trying to inch your way closer and closer to where you want to be, you try to go past it and you overdo a feeling, overdo a move. So hopefully very quickly you end up in that medium ground, happy medium, where you really want to be. So I get it. That's fine. And again, if it works for Tom, awesome. I'm not trying to fix Tom. I'm not trying to help him out. I'm trying to help you guys out. The problem is, plenty of guys, youth, high school, maybe even some college guys, are going to see that. They're fans, so they say, well, that's what Tom's doing. That's what I want to do. I'll work on that as well. The issue is we're not Tom Brady. We have limitations that Tom Brady doesn't have. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but
I can fire them.
So the issue is that there has to be a reason behind what you do. And mimicking an NFL quarterback, one of the best in the world, and as far as Tom goes, the best in the world, the guys that throw footballs better than anybody else ever. When you try to mimic exactly something they do, you can get in the danger zone there, okay? You're not an NFL quarterback yet. Hopefully maybe somebody that watches this turns into one. But you have to be self-aware of your limitations and how you're different from a Tom Brady who spent the last decade working on functional strength, which is a whole lot of rotational power, arm speed, things like that. If you don't have that, let's just say you try to mimic that and you don't use your lower body well, and here's a hint, most of you guys don't, then you are going to be so limited on your ball velocity, what you're used to, and even control, because you're cutting off. It's very easily to cut off extension, not allow yourself to get the last rotation through. A lot of guys, even if you don't use your lower body well, you make up for it a little bit with good extension, good rotation through the throw. And if you're trying to stop here, you're just not going to get that. So if you're not building up a ton amount of torque by a lot of hip fire, optimal hip fire, through that dissociation, you're not going to get this. Okay, doing that drill or that feel is not going to help you. And so basically getting through all this is you guys got to be careful. Don't let anybody tell you to do something just because an NFL quarterback does it. Okay, have some context behind it. Have some reasoning, a why behind everything. Because if you just mindlessly follow what those guys do, you could absolutely get stray off your roadmap, your path. Okay, that's why I'm so big on the online stuff. Even if we can't get in front of each other all the time, just being able to see what you're working on, what you're up to. So if you're on the right track, I can say, good job, maybe tweak this, but stick with it. But if you get off track and get into bad habits, I can very quickly get you back on the right path. Because if you work on something like this and it doesn't actually help you, it hurts you, and you spend all off season working on it, that sets you back so far when you could be working on things that would actually help you personally. Okay, and that's the big thing. Everybody's different. Everybody has different limitations, strengths, assets. You need to understand what you do and what things to focus on are going to help you in the off season. Everything else Tom Brady does, film study, marrying supermodels, yeah, go do that. Be exactly like him as far as that goes. But with throwing mechanics, just be careful. That's all I care about. All right. So you guys go find you a supermodel. Make sure your balls are properly inflated and go throw better.